Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the good, the bad, and the awesome. This is my Datacron review series. We're on set 18 now. I've been doing this since set 5. It's crazy. I felt like I was late to the game back then, but set 18, no, that's something else. No Mercy is what it is called, and we're going to be talking about what's good, bad, and kind of overpowered in all of stats, lineman abilities, level 3, level 6 faction abilities, and then level 9 character mechanics, starting with stats. So let's get into it. So with stats, we have 4 that I'd say are good, 2 that are bad, and 1 that is awesome, but it's still like kind of situational. If you have all rolls on tenacity and you got like 200% tenacity or something, that can shut down a lot of stuff, but that is situational. Honestly, I mean, I prefer to get a lot more health and protection, but strategically, there's great uses for tenacity, and it can be overpowered. Crit chance and health steal, pretty bad. Just crit chance has limited impact on, I don't know, the game, most matches, but they did increase the amounts. So for reference, these are level 7 and 8 ability or stat totals, so this is the highest level you're gonna get. So crit chance went up. It used to be, I think, up to 20% or something. So you could get a lot of crit chance. You can get really very low crit chance characters critting all the time. So there is some application that could happen. Health steal, I'm kind of on the fence about it most times, but they actually reduced the amounts across the board, so it's harder to get a lot of health steal. So that makes it's usually a roll away from stat for me, but both these two are the ones I'm definitely trying to roll away from. The good ones are crit damage, potency, health and protection. Health and protection, my favorite. I mean, they're good for anybody. Potency is pretty situational, but these are really good amounts. They have increased the amount of potency you're getting per roll, so you get an insane amount of potency. Characters like Afra that really, I don't know, just live off potency. It's going to be more beneficial for them. Crit damage is the only stat here that's increasing your actual damage output. Crit chance just gives you a chance to have, a normal crit, but crit damage is the only really true offensive stat here, so it's more of a defensive setup. We don't have defense as a stat, so that's good, but we're missing stuff like armor penetration, offense, stuff like that. So it's a decent mix of stats. I'm not blown away though. Plenty of options, but plenty of crap too. Next, we got alignment abilities, starting with light side, and I'll just say right now, this is more of a dark side oriented set. So I think for now, when we have this in set 17, you're probably going to use set 17 for a lot of your light side characters because the level 3s are better. I didn't have a lot of recommendations for these abilities, but I did want to point out that Leia particularly benefits from this one at the top. When light side allies inflict a debuff on an enemy, they deal damage equal to 2% of that enemy's max health. You might ask, I mean, she's not a super debuff heavy character, but her ultimate is charged by instances of damage. So if you take like Captain Rex in there, or Drogon, anyone that is doing any debuffs, R2 will do some debuffs, you are getting to that ultimate very fast, especially with Captain Rex. So just keep an eye out for that when set 16 dusts. Try to get one of these for Leia, for real. And then the rest of them they're all basically okay. I mean, if I'd made this the good, the bad, the okay, and the awesome, then it would be a mouthful, but it would fit these more. I mean, evasion up, health steal up, health up for 2 turns. It's just good. It's just, it's nice. It's all right. It's not changing too many things. You want to be careful if don't take it against General Skywalker team because you're just going to juice them up. When light side allies gain a buff, recover 2% health and protection. That's okay. It just depends. I mean, we've seen this plenty of times. It's never been really a game changer. And then this one's okay. When light side, I don't think I've seen this before, but I could be wrong. Whenever light side allies start their turn with 3 debuffs that can be dispelled, they gain tenacity up for 2 turns. So at first I read it that can't be dispelled, but it just can be dispelled. So if there are a few debuffs, it can kind of stop the bleeding with tenacity up. And then this one I think is just bad. I mean, protection up 20% for 2 turns, not impactful really at all. But the rest of these I could see having some application. However, they are not particularly impressive. Dark side, on the other hand, let's just get all this in. I've stopped the slideshow mechanics for the most part. We kind of got an even spread. We have some clear roll away froms. So dark side allies gain 10% turn meter whenever an ally or enemy is defeated. So first off, When an ally is defeated, that's not really that enticing unless your Night Sisters and everyone's expendable and it's going to come back. You don't want allies dying. When enemies are dying, if you already got someone dead, you kind of got them on the back foot already, and it's not super impactful. The recovering health when critically hitting an enemy, it's just so situational. Most of the time you have protection, and then if you don't have a lot of protection, this isn't going to bail you out. This is horrible. This is one of the worst, like, ever. Maybe, I don't know, like Darth or Lord Vader benefits more from it because he's all health. He does an AoE, stuff like that. This one's okay. This one is like, you know, if you've re-rolled a lot and you're not getting these two at the bottom, then you kind of take that. Whenever dark side allies use a special ability, they gain 15% turn meter. So it's not even like for everybody. It's just like, okay, I used a special, I get some turn meter. It's like, okay. So it's not crazy good. But these are very strong. We've been seeing this tank revive for the past 3 sets. This is the 3rd time in a row we've had one. The previous set is light side, so we're gonna have both a dark side tank revive and a light side tank revive option again. Very strong. However, I think the best one is this. This is what started out in the thick crons where you just had this option for dark side and light side. So I think you start to see what I mean. This is a very dark side heavy set. I would go for predominantly these and then a few of the tank revives. So that's why I have the infinity sign there. But really, like, I wouldn't go for an even split of light side and dark side crons in this one. I'd have like probably 2/3 dark side I'll try to have. There are some light side targets we want to get, but for the most part, this is very much in favor of dark side teams and characters. And our first look at the faction mechanics is starting with probably the best faction as far as their abilities are concerned. This is Mercenary. This is the icon. And I don't have the pictures here because it was kind of cramped, but I'm going to look at the Mercenary faction actually. So we'll get to GG after going over these because it's a pretty new faction and people are not familiar with it. But these two are good. They're just solid. And there's 3 of them that are awesome. So the retribution for 3 turns at the start, it's just strong all around. I mean, that could be, like, in practical application, one of the best, just because of how universally valuable it is. In 3 turns, that's a while for a match. And then this one, I don't have it in the awesome because it's more limited to only when Balin's Skull's gonna come. It'll probably be good. But at the start of each of their turns, the Mercenary allies have 2% offense equal to the number of stacks of Soldier of Fortune. Well, I guess Shin Hati and the other guy can benefit from it, but they have 2% offense for each Soldier of Fortune until they're defeated. They have it. They don't gain it, so it's not like every time you get it, you gain it. It's just whatever you see there, multiply by 2. That's how much percentage offense you get. And then whenever an enemy attacks out of turn, they take bonus true damage, which can't be evaded and can't defeat them. So that's the best thing to me. And it's weird how it's written. So it says whenever an enemy attacks out of turn. It doesn't say whenever an enemy attacks a mercenary out of turn. So the way I read it, you could have 1 mercenary on a team, and then whenever any enemies attacking out of turn, they're taking true damage. So I look at that as it's pretty good in plug and play. This first part, not really that applicable. This part, pretty great. And it just depends. Like, I don't know how the true damage is calculated. Is it true damage based on that character's offense? So it has to be, right? So it is weird. That'll be interesting in practice. Like, true damage is kind of a loaded term. You don't know what it's going to be like until you actually see it in action. Like, what does that mean scale-wise? And then this is like what we have for Jedi. When Mercs use a special ability, they stun the target enemy for 1 turn and can't be resisted. Pretty awesome. Then this one, at the start of their turn, Mercenary allies gain offense equal to 400% of their current defense and lose 50% defense. So this is one we've seen plenty of times. It's not quite as overwhelming as it sounds. It's not like you get 400% offense, but you have a flat number for defense that is not visible to you in the game, I don't think, naturally. And then you're just getting 4 times that amount of offense. So usually it's like a few thousand. Maybe if you're lucky, it's like 3,000-4,000 offense. But it's pretty good. It's just extra offense. Pretty nice. And then this one, whenever a Merc inflicts a debuff, they do bonus damage equal to 10%. So it's like 2 Amplify Agonies equipped. which it could be pretty strong. It depends. I see this being pretty good for Dash Rendar. But in general, I mean, the stun is probably the safest. And then this one, if you have a really heavy hitter, you might want to go with that. But let's look at the actual mercenary faction just to brush up on that. So here's all the mercenaries we have in the game as of now. Pretty diverse squad cast. We got Shin Hati. She does count for mercenary level 6. You do need a mercenary level 6 to roll her level 9. But, you know, if they do a lot of debuffs, you might want to consider them, like Afra or Django for the Amplify Agony type one. In general, stun is going to apply, going to be pretty useful for all of them. And then for the defense to offense, I don't know, characters that you're going to rely on to do a lot of damage, maybe Han Solo, maybe Dash, Afra, I don't know, potentially. She does scale her offense over time. Mando, that could be good for a nuke. It just depends. I mean, it's not an incredible faction. I mean, Generat Cal is good. Fennec Shan's good. Fennec Shan, that could be a really integral element to countering Lord Vader or making that better. But you also got to make sure you're not too weak on the other side. Hondo is going to be pretty awesome because he has a level 9, so it's going to be really nice for him. I'd probably go defense to offense with him just to increase the total amount of damage he could do. But yeah, that's just a quick look at what we actually have for mercenaries because it's a pretty new faction. Next up, we have Unaligned Force Users, the other dark side faction in this. Oh, by the way, we only have 3 factions in this cron, and it's been like about 5 or 6 sets since we've had that. We've had 4 options for the longest time, 4 factions and 4 roles in the game, like attacker, tank, and all that. So it's just very, very heavily favored in dark side. So there's 4 good ones and 1 awesome one. Let me change up pace and just talk about the awesome one first. So this, in general, will be a priority for a lot of the best UFU teams like Inquisitor, Starkiller, and all that. This is a repeat. I think it's a repeat of set 8, and it went out. I think it came out around the time where a lot of people were getting Riva for the first time, and there was the Grand Inquisitor cron. It was pretty crazy. Whenever an UFU critically hits an enemy, dispel all debuffs on themselves and gain 5% turn mirror. So that's 1 clause. It's like, it's not written like a lot of the new ones, and that's how you can kind of tell. And a lot of new ones, they like have a separate paragraph for each clause. This all kind of jumbled into 1 paragraph. Then whenever a dark side or light UFU uses a special against an enemy with at least 3 debuffs, you're reducing their max health. And whenever they're using a special ability, when they have at least 3 buffs, they gain max health. So this is great with just what I said. I mean, Inquisitors, Starkiller, potentially Springler, Kylo Ren could be pretty good. But these others are all good. I mean, there's not a bad one in here. Damage unity for 2 turns at the start of the battle, I'd say that's pretty good for tanks, especially if they're pretty slow. Let's put Crew and Ninth Sister here just as an example. A bonus turn for defeating an enemy. It's nice. Maybe for Starkiller, maybe for Malicos. This one, but I'd probably go with this one for Malicos too. And then this is kind of the bailout mechanic. If they fall below 50% health, again, damage immunity and health steal up for 2 turns. Damage immunity for 1 turn, but it's kind of just like a saving grace if you're taking a lot of hits and then fall under half. And then whenever a debuff expires, they're going to get 2% potency and tenacity until the end of the battle. So it's just, it's situational. It's nice. It could stack. But for most of your heavy hitters, I would try to get at least 3 of these for Malicos, Riva, and Inquisitors if you can. Maybe even like CLS or just odd, team that has a random UFU in it. But they're pretty good. I mean, these top 2 probably the best, and then this one. So that is UFUs. And now we have the light side faction, the Old Republic. Old Republic is one of the worst factions in the game. Not too many saving graces. I mean, except like Revan and Jolie. Other than that, it's a Karth team. Got Sortie, who's randomly Old Republic, but this one is probably the best in my opinion. When they target another ally, they gain 5% defense, health, max protection off it. So we've had this before for like Resistance, and I think maybe UFUs. I think this is probably best with Revan on like a JML team. I mean, you're not like a full Old Republic team with Revan is not realistic. But if you have Revan, even Jolie on the team too, they both can target with an ability naturally. Like Revan has a swap, Jolie has it as assist, and then when they're with JML, they have the granted ability, so they could just spam hit on JML himself and then just make him really tanky and hit harder. So I think that could be probably the best application for it after the Datacrons expire, because right now it's not enough to take the cake from that. Then whenever an Old Republic ally grants a buff to another ally, 10% turn meter, it's nice, kind of limited because it's only once per turn. You can't like spam buffs with Bastila and everyone gets full turn meter. I mean, compared to a lot of other Crons, that wouldn't even be that bad anymore, or that wouldn't even be that over the top anymore. Next one, whenever an Old Republic ally defeats an enemy, they refresh the cooldown of all Old Republic allies. So again, that could apply for Giant Knight Revan on a JML team. Like call him to assist, and he might reset his own cooldowns if he gets the kill, but he's not a heavy hitter. If you are going to run a card theme, which I'm skeptical it's going to work, this might be the best. Other than that, probably the turn meter, because there's not too many targeting other allies on that team. Then this one, this is too little too late. Fall below half health. They reduce cooldowns by 1 and gain 1% turn meter. It's not enough to really make a big difference. And then whenever an Old Republic ally recovers health, they get protection and blah, blah, blah. It's like, it's kind of whatever. It's not a huge impact, so nothing really standing out from this faction. That's why I'm going to reroll to try to get mostly dark side. The only problem with that potentially is we don't know what the next set I'll have. If that's also dark side favor and there's no good light side, you might be caught flat-footed without having a good balance. So, but that's it for the level 6s. Now we have the level 9s, starting with the Mercenary abilities. There are 5 Mercenary character level 9s. I confirmed this by rolling up a Datacron to level 6 at great cost to my in-game self to confirm that Shin Ha-Ti is on the Mercenary side. I don't know, maybe she can get rolled with both, but I've only confirmed that she is on the Mercenary side. Yeah, there's more of those anyway, so this fit better here. Dengar, this is the bonus turn thing, 100% more damage, kind of like we have for Sabine, and we had way back when with Dash Rendar. You don't really care too much about the damage he does, but where I see this being a benefit is contributing to contract. And he's unique where he's going to hit everybody, and he has a chance to randomly hit, I don't know, so like a couple other people with his thermals where he's throwing out the bombs. He also can call an assist with his first special. So it could be some good things that happen with him. I don't know. The bounty hunters are kind of a fringe team at this point, like a cleanup team in the high kyber. But in lower leagues, I don't know, Rhodium even, players have enough. I mean, most people have Dengar at Relic 5 for Executor, so it's a pretty good option. Django, this one's, it's okay. It's reflecting damage, 20% of the damage taken. So it's like a staunch reprisal the gas has in Conquest. It's okay. I mean, he's on a separatist team. He's kind of tanking anyway, so it's all right. Should not teach against 15% turn meter when other allies use a special ability on their turn. So she will be taking a lot of turns, and that is good because she's pretty decent. Right now, I don't have her in relics. I have a 3-star. But on a proper team for her, that would probably be pretty good. This one, I put it as bad. It doesn't seem bad, but whenever an enemy's stunned, Arsene takes a bonus turn. You don't have too many stuns on, bounty hunters. Although some people might say I'm crazy because she can stun on her. I think she can stun on her basic. Yeah, she actually has a chance to stun on her basic. So you could loop around potentially, but I don't know. I could be wrong on that one, but I don't see myself using it really at all. I don't see myself using this either, but anyway. Then the one awesome one is Hondo. This is a repeat. We've had this one before, and he scaled very nicely. Whenever Hondo uses a basic, he gains 9 additional stacks of ransom, protection up 100% stacking for 2 turns, and reduces his cooldown by 1. So he's going to get to 50 stacks of ransom pretty fast. This has pretty good applications like on offense, but it usually ends up with him being like one of the only, like he's by himself killing people. But you know, it could be nice on defense. I might just throw this with like a dash team and try to get as many mercs on there as possible and just use him. But you could really kind of put him anywhere. He's really plug and play. And the 50 stacks of ransom, he dodges like crazy, very hard to deal with. So that's a really strong one. Just keep an eye out for that. And that is Mercenary level 9s. Next, we got Old Republic level 9s. There are 2 more, but they didn't really fit well on one screen. So I have another screen for Old Republic. The good ones, Jolie Bindo. Whenever another ally attacks during Jolie's turn, he and that ally gain 25% turn meter. Again, this on JML has great potentials because he can call to assist with the JML special and his own assist, so you can really feed turn meter. So that's kind of nice. The T3, I mean, I can see this having applications. I don't know what it is, but I'm just going to say on its face, it seems good whenever it uses a basic. All other allies gain 25% turn meter, so that could have some theory crafting potential, although I can't begin to speculate right now. The bad, Juhani, at first I said good, but Juhani only really has play in TW, and in TW, you're way better off having a Starkiller Kron. So I say that's bad. They're removing turn meter from enemies. In theory, it's nice, but it's better on K2SO, who loses his taunt all the time. Then we got Zalbar. If he's on a better team, or if this was for Wookiees too, this might be pretty good, but he gains 20% defense for each Old Republic ally. Whenever another OR uses a special ability, he recovers health and protection, inflicts damage over time. So it's decent, but like Old Republic kind of sucks, and it's not on a Wookiee team, so I don't see it having practical use in most cases. And then Mission Val, whenever she gains stealth, she recovers 100% protection. She doesn't have too much protection to begin with. It doesn't take too much to get her from 100 to 0 before she's gaining stealth. So it just has basically no impact. I don't care for this. So I see no world in which I would have use for that. And then the awesome for Old Republic, there's 2 of them. One is a huge word one. But Sorry is going to be more practical application. And this is a repeat from set 7. It's crazy. It's 11 sets later. But it was good then. It's good now. While she's active at the start of her turns, apply spare parts to all other droid allies that do not have it. So, like, someone dies and comes back, she takes a turn, they get it again. And it's an unpreventable revive. It's like Night Sister Zombie. So it's really good. Whenever droids gain spare parts, they gain 25% offense for the rest of the encounter. And then when a droid ally is defeated, dispel debuffs on Sortie. So if she were stunned or dazed or something, she'll be freed from those bonds to come back around for more spare parts. Where this came into more practical application back then is people setting her with Rey and like having L3 or something on the team. To have a kind of like Geonosian Brute Alpha. It's a disposable tank that's gonna keep coming back, or like Zombie. A Sortie team proper maybe would be good, but way back then, even when we had less good teams out there, she just went with Rey. She goes with Rey now. It kind of stayed from, like, this is when that started. People put Sortie with Rey back when she had her own cron, and it kind of just stuck around. But that's where I'll probably use it if I do. Anyway, Karth. So there's a lot of stuff here. There's one clause that really stands out to me. I don't think it'll be worth having an Old Republic team for me or taking Karth to Relics, but it could be. Karth has 100% max health, max protection, and potency, and gains 50% turn meter whenever another character ends their turn. Whenever he uses basic ability, he attacks 2 more times. Whenever an Old Republic ally resists a debuff, they dispel all debuffs on themselves, gain 10% tenacity until the end of the battle. Whenever an Old Republic ally is dazed, they dispel it. Whenever they dispel days, they gain 15% turn meter. So this is feeling a lot like Galactic Challenge version of Old Republic, where they're kind of annoying. You never land debuffs, and they kind of heal up a lot. I don't know how it's going to go. Whenever Karth uses a special, he triggers the damage of all damage over time debuffs on enemies. That has potential, so I don't know if you would need Wat Tambor on the team to make that useful, but maybe you throw Darth Vader in there. Just randomly on the team, because it doesn't say you have to have all Old Republic allies for that to happen. Or you could also, you know, slap him on a Lord Vader team, hope he survives, and then just trigger all the dots. But that's something not many characters can do. Wat Tambor can do it, and it can be pretty impactful. Like if you just trigger them all at once, you could wipe out the whole enemy team if you have enough. So, theory crafting potential for this. Whenever an enemy is defeated, card gains 25% offense stacking and crit damage stacking until the end of the battle. His cooldowns are reset, and he gains 100% turn meter. So if you do kill someone with that triggering the debuffs, he's basically going to get another turn and then get to do the same thing and keep triggering it. So I definitely see the biggest potential being with like like Darth Vader or Lord Vader. But we'll have yet to see where that actually practically comes out. And that is it for Old Republic level 9s. And the last faction to cover, and certainly not the least, is Unaligned Force Users. Unaligned Force Users definitely, they have an argument for best faction in the game. So this is a very strong faction. There's one I say is good. I have 4 more in another slide. There's a lot of Ufu level 9s. The good one is Mara Jade. At the start of non-Emperor Palpatine allies' turn, she gains a stack of Loyal Hand. So she's going to get to 20 stacks faster. Whenever an ally with less than 100% turn meter gains bonus turn meter, they get to crit chance, crit damage for 1 turn. Whenever an enemy is inflicted with shock, they take damage equal to 10% of their max health. So this is good, but I think it gets overshadowed by Starkiller's Kron. If you cannot roll that one, this is good to use. But I don't say this is ugly just because I think it's overshadowed by Starkiller. However, it is pretty strong. If you put her with Palpatine, which that's who she's made for, there is a lot of turn meter going around. There is a lot of shock. That crit damage. If it was stacking for the rest of the battle, that might have a case for ugly. But as right now, just for 1 turn, maybe not. The bad one's 8th Brother. This one's terrible. Like, they should erase this from existence, but they keep using it here and there. They have a 20% chance to gain 15% defense penetration for 1 turn. Like, the qualifiers on this are so terrible. It's a 1 in 5 chance to gain a little bit of defense penetration for a short time. Useless. Horrible. Probably worst ability ever. Kylo Ren mechanics. It's not... This is a good potential boost. It's just extra survivability. It's half the Galactic Legend. Stat boost, 5% max health, and protection per relic level. But it's not on a great character. Kylo Ren is kind of whatever, so big whoop. The Awesome, there's 4 of them, because they're all pretty flagship teams. Sorry, the picture is pretty tiny because of the way the PC client is. It shows everything very small, so when I pulled this out, all these guys look pretty grainy. Grand Inquisitor. While he's active, Inquisitor allies are immune to fear and stun. That's pretty strong. Whenever an ally or enemy is defeated, Inquisitor allies gain 50% turn meter, damage immunity for 1 turn, and their cooldowns are reset. Ally or enemy. This is crazy. I mean, Reva is going to be a menace. It's going to be... You're going to have to probably try to take out her first, otherwise... So whoever dies, the whole team gains 50% turn meter, damage immunity. Can't... So we're taking turns. You can't hurt us. And we have our cooldowns reset. That is insane. So this one, the long, wordy level 6 for Ufus. And then the health and protection one for Inquisitors. That's scary. That's going to be one of the best teams for this season with this Quran. It's crazy. Starkiller. Whenever another ally uses an ability, that means basic or special, Starkiller assists, dealing 50% more damage. We've had this for a lot of characters, and usually they're not that impressive, like Wedge Antilles or something where it's not a great character. This is a good character. This is going to be crazy. So that is very, very strong. You're just taking turns. Just think about it. Okay, so Palpatine. So if the whole enemy has shock and he does his basic, he's going to get a lot of turn meter. So if you get shock on the whole enemy, all enemies, just spam basics with Palpatine. He already calls him to assist. He's going to call him to assist twice. You're going to get to that ultimate so fast, do so much damage. I'm looking forward to it. That's why I say Mara Jade's kind of overshadowed. Next, we got Maul. When he's defeated the first time, revive with 100% health, heal over time for 2 turns. I think that used to be in other variants of this. It was protection over time for 2 turns, which would make more sense. But it's fine. And then he takes a bonus turn, so you get a free life with Maul. That's really nice. I'd probably just use him on a Lord Vader team on offense, or on defense too. I mean, he's a very much a focus to try and get out quick. And if you have this, it's gonna be great. The only downside is his anguish stacks are gonna reset, I believe. So if he's at 4 or 5, he's not gonna get them back. So he is more easy to control than it might seem, but it's still pretty awesome because he's awesome. And then Malicos, this one's kind of the resilient defense is kind of weird because it's like a taunt, and you don't want him taunting. You want him to hide. But the big thing is he's getting extra stacks of madness at the beginning. When he gets 20 stacks, he gets a bonus turn, his cooldowns are reset. So when he does his first turn, do the AoE, and you're probably going to get another AoE soon. So that's what's nice, that he's getting an extra turn. And that is it for Ufu level 9. So just look out for Starkiller, look out for Inquisitors. They're both going to be crazy. That is basically all for this one. Just going over some reroll priorities. I'd say I have the dark side icon here because for faction, I think you should be re-rolling within the dark side factions because there's some you don't really want and some that are awesome. For the alignment, I would re-roll to get dark side, but within light side, I wouldn't be too particular about what you get except for Leia, and maybe, I don't know, Bad Batch or something. It's a team that does a lot of debuffs. Might want to be particular with that. But even like Dash Rendar does a lot of debuffs, and you're going to want a mercenary ability, so you're not even going to want a light side thing. So don't sweat re-rolling light side. Stats, roll away from crit chance and health steal. If you're any kind of economical player and you don't have tons and tons of resources to blow, I don't think you should be so worried about trying to go for only 1 or 2 or 3 stats, but just roll away from crit chance and health steal. And then for the character level 9s, there's plenty of really strong ones, so I think you should go out and try and get at least one of all the awesome character level 9s that I put out there, if you have those characters, with the exception of maybe Karth, if that's not really going to be a big deal, but it does have potential. But yeah, that's it. So thanks for watching. This is set 18, No Mercy. Let me know what you think, if there's any interactions that I'm overlooking or anything. But I do enjoy covering Datacrons. I've been doing it for the longest time. And yeah, thanks for watching. See ya.